Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a good day, good night, wherever you are watching in for this episode of Crypto Happy Hour. A little bit last minute here for the day, so apologies on that. But wanted to had a little bit of spare time here, so wanted to pop in, answer some of the questions that you guys might have, talk a little bit about what's happening in the marketplace today, and make sure everything is all your questions are answered there as well. So just making sure that this kicks off here. Awesome. So looks like we are live. What is going on? Just wanted to make sure technically that everything was all set up there. So hopefully you guys can see everything okay. Hopefully it's looking all right. And we'll definitely pop into the discussion here today. So what is going on, David Cooper? Mr. Muffin, what is up? Tennis, sir. Alex, what's going on? What is up? It is my money and I want it now. It's all our money, right? Koi Pilot, what's going on, my man? Awesome. So it looks like we're good, technically speaking. And on the day, interesting day in the crypto markets right now. Let's pop up on-chain FX, see what's happening there. Interesting day in the crypto market. A little bit has changed in the past couple of hours, but from this morning, there were a couple cryptos that had some really nice movements. They've settled down a bit. 10x was up quite a bit this morning. Civic was up a bunch. Monero was up a good amount. IOTA was up nicely as well, and some of them have cooled off a little bit, but still there are a good number of cryptocurrencies that have actually outpaced Bitcoin in the past 24 hours or so. So it's been pretty impressive to see a number of different altcoins actually gaining maybe a little bit of steam, a little bit of momentum as well. What's up, Patrick, Felipe, David, Tom, David, Doug? Little Seahawks action. I forgot even Monday Night Football is on tonight. And tonight we're going with a really heavy Poland Spring IPA. It was a long weekend, so Crypto Happy Hour is getting real turned up tonight. So going heavy with the Poland Spring IPA. And apologies again for a little bit of a late notice on this Crypto Happy Hour, but had a little bit of time, so I wanted to pop in here, talk to you guys about what's been happening today. Obviously, answer all your questions and just getting everything rolling there as well. NYC, what is up? So somebody asked about 10x. We could pop over to 10x today. Let's see. I don't know if it was officially confirmed or not, but I believe there were rumors about 10x gaining a full Visa partnership today, I believe. I don't know. Let's see here. So at least for 10x, I don't know if this was something that was announced or not, but there was some type of rumors about a Visa partnership. I saw screenshots online about it. I don't know if it's something that was fully confirmed by 10x or not, so I don't know what the entire situation there was. But 10x was something that had a pretty big pump today. We'll pop over. Let's see, Pay Token. We'll take a look at Pay Token. Civic was another one that pumped out of nowhere, and yeah, so here's 10x spiked real high from 10x spiked at one point in time up about 35+% and is now down to, let's say, where do we got it? 10x. 10x is chilling at around 15%. So it was up to 35+%. Now it's at 15%. So nothing crazy, but some of these, Civic was another one. So Pay Token, I don't actually own any Pay Token. I do own Civic. Civic had a real big pump had a big pump up about 35% when I woke up in the morning and is now down to around 10-12%. I didn't make any moves on it. I probably should have taken some profits there, and I think that's a good lesson in a lot of respects. But we'll have to see what ends up happening there. But for the time being, I didn't end up making any moves with Civic, but it looked like that would have been the smart thing to do. Somebody else said BTG on Bittrex to the moon. Yeah, so let's see here, Bittrex. So I actually put some BTG on. So I put some BTG on Bittrex. We could see here that BTG, Bitcoin Gold, if you're not familiar, it is now trading on Bittrex in both a Bitcoin trading pairing as well as, I believe, an Ethereum trading pairing as well. It started off at, thank you very much for that super chat, Marlon. I do appreciate that. You can rewrite that. I can't really see. What do you think of Kryptonium? Not too familiar with that. If you could rewrite that question, I'll definitely be able to answer that a little bit better. But it sounds like Kryptonium. I don't know what that is off the top. But Bitcoin Gold is really interesting. And thanks again for that, Marlon. I do appreciate that, dude. Bitcoin Gold is, I don't think much in terms of a cryptocurrency. Could it get pumped nicely? Yeah, it could for sure. But as I pop over here and see, so Bitcoin, I was pretty pissed. I tweeted about it before. But Bitcoin Gold, once it got released, it pumped all the way up to 0.07 Bitcoin. So it went all the way up to 0.07. I transferred my, so Bittrex went live on the exchange at like 5 p.m. or so tonight, Eastern time. Went live on the exchange. I took my Bitcoin Gold from my Ledger, which Ledger actually did a really nice job, as you would come to expect. Ledger did a nice job allowing you to pretty easily access your Bitcoin Gold. So that was all good. They activated that a few days ago. Bittrex activates that today. I sent it over from Ledger to Bittrex, and it was pending. It was a pending transaction, or it was a pending deposit for like an hour. So the entire hour where this went from 0.033 all the way up to 0.07 or so and pumped, I was sitting in pending deposit, and now it's dropped all the way back down. So I set a sell order back up here for Bitcoin Gold. I don't really think for me it's a long-term hold. Maybe it'll pump up. Maybe it'll spike up again. Maybe it won't. But I set a sell order up here to get rid of it and put it into Bitcoin or Ethereum. Not exactly sure what yet. Let's see, somebody said Bitcoin Gold. Look at the 1 minute charts. Yeah, it's making a little bit of a move, bouncing off of the 0.03. So hopefully it'll move up a little bit more. Taking a look at some of these questions. Marlon, Kryptonium. I am not too familiar with Kryptonium. It's the most advanced trading platform. Business plan. I don't know too much about this. I have to do a little bit more research, quite frankly, so I don't want to give any statements that would be positive or negative otherwise, because I quite frankly don't know too much about this. Off the top, I really don't have a ton of knowledge on it, so sorry about that, but I do appreciate that super chat for sure, my man. So, hey, what do you think about NEO at these levels? I'll pop over to NEO. Take a look at NEO on the charts right now. And so NEO is, I'll look at US dollar tether, even though I know a lot of people are freaking out. So I bought NEO. First of all, this is my second time buying NEO, second time buying and selling NEO. I bought NEO back in like July, August when it was Ant shares. I bought it at $6. Then it went all the way up to $50. I ended up selling it at about $38. And then recently, back in, I want to say it was around the time of the canceled Segwit 2X fork, about November 9th or so, November 9th, 8th maybe, I bought NEO at about $32. And it dipped a little bit. I held on to it. So I bought it at around $32 over here. And then it pumped all the way up to $48. And I ended up selling some NEO at $42. So I bought NEO at 32, sold it at, let's say I bought it around here. So I bought it around here, sold it at around 42. So I made about 30% on that. And then I put all of that NEO into Cardano for the time being, on just a little bit of a trade there to see what might happen with Cardano. So that was the trade I made with NEO. Long term, I think NEO is an interesting one. It's very much driven on NEO is very much driven on news and how people perceive what is going to happen with Neo from like an adoption perspective with the Chinese government. So there's a lot of news there about what's going on, what's happening with Chinese news, and that's what tends to drive the price quite a bit. It seems like there was some, I don't want to say FUD articles because there was some fairly decent points. There was news that pumped it, and then there was also news or an article that kind of brought it back down to earth, which was interesting. What is up, Mo? Appreciate that, my man. Thoughts on Cardano long-term price analysis 2020 or so? So looking out to 2020 from a cryptocurrency perspective is, I don't want to say damn near impossible, but damn near impossible. So I'll do my best, but I think looking that far in advance is pretty tough. So right now, I had a conversation. I talked a little bit about it previously, but I had a conversation with a friend of mine or somebody that I've become acquainted with in the crypto kind of world, and it was at the props meetup that I was at on Friday of last week. And there were a couple people that actually came to that props meetup that were in New York City that went to that props meetup that watched the previous crypto happy hour, which is pretty cool. So I got to meet a couple of you guys that are in New York from that crypto happy hour. But another person that I know through a Slack channel and through talking to and through some mutual acquaintances. But we're talking a little bit about Cardano being one that could potentially make a really nice move here, and kind of some of the thesis behind that, quite frankly. Some of the thesis behind Cardano making a nice move is the initial investors being primarily Japanese-based, and a lot of the kind of technology focus being primarily Asian-based. But right now, the majority of the market, it's really only trading on Bittrex, which is primarily an American exchange. So if and when Cardano gets listed on an Asian exchange, it is going to just pop up through the roof. Long-term, technically speaking, I don't know. But if I'm looking at potential short-term pops or near-term pops, Cardano, that's why I put the money, that the 30% and the money that I made in Neo, that's why I threw it into Cardano, because I figured that could be something that ends up popping nicely in the maybe in the next 3 to 6 months. Long term, 2020. I don't know what I'm gonna have for breakfast tomorrow. 2020. That's a pretty long way out. So we'll see. David, if you were just starting at $400 to invest per month, where would you start? I would probably throw. For me, I might throw depending upon how familiar you are with the space, I might throw $200 in Bitcoin, maybe $200 in Ethereum or Litecoin. Or if you've been around for a while and know a little bit more, maybe throw $200 into Bitcoin and $200 into a smaller cap coin. So you get the large, steady growth of Bitcoin in some respects, and you take a little bit of a chance with one of the smaller altcoins. So that's something. What is up, Marco? Appreciate it, my man, on the Brave browser. That was pretty cool, too. So I tweeted Brave just in the spirit of cryptocurrency and a lot of the decentralization, all that good stuff. So I tweeted, where is it recently? Where we got it. So I tweeted this pretty recently about Brave browser and basic attention token. And so I tweeted this, that they created some new kind of system essentially where I can, or you can, as a YouTube creator, if you like my channel and you use Brave and you don't want to get crushed with BitConnect ads, you can use the Brave browser and you can pay me a portion of, or you can donate basically a portion of basic attention tokens to support the channel in lieu of having to watch advertising. So I tweeted that. And it actually got retweeted by the CEO of Brave and the guy kind of behind Basic Attention Token. So that was pretty cool. And that was Brendan Eich, who is the co-founder of Mozilla and Firefox, and now the CEO of Brave Software, created JavaScript. So that was kind of cool to have that retweeted by him. It sounds like a lot of you guys like the Brave browser and Basic Attention Token. So pretty cool. Am I going to develop a course for $497? Absolutely not. Could you stop the BitConnect ads before your videos? I don't believe I'm able to determine. It would be really easy because there's, I think, only 2 people that run BitConnect ads, so it'd be pretty easy to determine those channels. And limit those ads, but I don't believe I actually have the ability to. The only thing I can do with the videos is just say enable monetization or don't enable monetization. So I don't even believe that I can choose. If I can, if anybody knows a way to do that, definitely let me know. So I'm pop into, let's see here. BTC, huge sell-off. What do we got? Is that? I wouldn't say that's crashing, but it's selling off. What do we got? I mean, it's down less than 1% in an hour. I don't know about crashing, but it's moving. It's definitely moving down a little bit. Palm Beach Group's recommendation is Dash. Yeah, I heard somebody say Dash was pumping pretty hard. That is, I don't know if any of you guys are in that Palm Beach Confidential, but that's, it seems, I don't want to say pump and dumpy, but it seems a little bit pump and dumpy. Although Dash has had a really, really strong, nice move recently. So, who knows? Who knows? Brad, thank you very much for that super chat. I really, really do appreciate that. Very kind of you. Question there, do you see any dip in Bitcoin coming before the end of the year for any reason? Thanks for the time. So thank you again for that super chat. I kind of see two scenarios playing out personally right now. I think that we're either going to, Bitcoin is basically gone. I mean, if we'll pull up the 1-day charts, but Bitcoin is, gone pretty much through the freaking roof since, with the exception of one small, it was actually a decent sized pullback, but with the exception of one pullback that, went down hard, but then quickly bounced back up. Bitcoin has just gone through the damn roof in the past, let's say 3 months. Bitcoin has gone through the roof, pretty much parabolic. With that being said, I think within the next month, we're either going to have to continue this momentum up, like we're going to just continue to just crush it through 10K, or it's going to, if it goes up to that point and if it's not able to establish it, kind of get some stability there, it's going to drop pretty heavily. So I think that, there's been a couple. I think the big thing is, so a lot of people now are talking about Tether, and that's kind of the FUD in the space, or whatever you want to call it, about Tether being insolvent, not being able to support this, not being able to support that, blah, blah, blah. On the other end of the spectrum, I think the big news or the big thing is probably going to be the CME futures and what effect that has on crypto. So I think the CME futures are really interesting, how that affects Bitcoin. And that's going to be primarily focused, I believe, on Bitcoin. And I think depending upon how many people are really willing to go out and short Bitcoin in that market, and if that short pressure can do much of anything. So very interesting to see how that might end up panning out in the future. I think kind of going back to that question, I think there's two scenarios. We're going to have Bitcoin is going to just crush it through the roof, or it's going to drop back down significantly. If it does drop back down significantly, I'm treating that as an opportunity to buy more. And I'm treating that as an opportunity to buy more and to accumulate at a cheaper price, like I did back down when it was in the 3,000, all these green arrows down here. That's where I was buying a ton. So if that happens, I'm not going to say it's going to go back down to $3,000 again, but if it goes to below $7,000, I think that's a really good area to accumulate. So if it does dip, I'm fine with that. That's when I'm going to, that's when I'm going to make a move for sure. I have not bought Power. I have not bought Power Ledger. I talked a little bit about it. So I actually had the opportunity to, Power Ledger reached out to me during their ICO. I had the opportunity to do an ICO review. Could have gotten paid in Power tokens. I researched the ICO. I reached out to a bunch of people, and there were a lot of people that participated in the Power Ledger ICO that weren't super happy because they ended up, I think, giving discounts or giving greater discounts to the public sale than they did to the pre-sale. Or there was just some things that there were just some things about the ICO that I think rubbed people the wrong way. So I ended up not participating in the ICO, not doing a sponsored review because I didn't want to steer anybody the wrong way. And it's crushed it. So I haven't touched it. I think it's always, when you see a crazy run like this, I would be hesitant to buy in now. That would just be me personally. But if you have it, then fantastic. If you participate in the ICO, even better. You crushed it. I wish I got in on the ICO. Wish I had that opportunity, and I didn't pull the trigger on it. So if you guys have, if you guys made that move, that's fantastic. As far as looking at the charts right now, you're seeing a pretty significant sell-off. Who knows what that means for holders? It could recover, but I think anytime you're looking at 5-6x profits, sometimes you want to make sure, because I've had scenarios like a Power Ledger before where I'm not in on Power Ledger right now, but I've had scenarios like a Power Ledger before, whether it's been Civic or Status or Manitha, where something spikes like crazy after the ICO, absolutely crushes it, and you kind of get greedy and you hold on forever, and you're thinking, oh wow, it's 5x right now, or it's 10x, like I'm gonna make a ton of money, it's up a ton and it's gonna continue to go, and then it pulls back and it pulls back and it pulls back. So that's definitely some of my biggest regrets from a trading perspective, is not selling some of those cryptos that have gone through the roof, that have gone 4 or 5x, and then pull back to basically losing money, and you hold on forever. So I don't know too much, quite frankly, to give you guys a definitive thought process on Power Ledger as far as the overall viability of the platform and the overall how good it may or may not be. But personally, if you got in on the ICO and you're seeing, I don't remember what the ICO price is, but if you're seeing 5-6x gains, taking some profit is never a bad idea. Personally, if Darren, you said you got in at 8 cents. And if you're still sitting there and it's 62 cents, you made a ton of money, so fan-freaking-tastic. But taking profits isn't always, and it doesn't have to be full profits. You can definitely let the initial investment ride or let half of it ride. But if it ever, and I'm not saying it will, but if it ever goes down, like I've had with some scenarios, like a Status or even like Civic, which pumped today, it was up to 38 cents or 40 cents today, but it's been at 60 cents before. And I basically held on forever. So, good and bad. Somebody said, Greatwell Crypto said, already recovered my power costs. It's all free money from here. Good for you. That's the way you want to play. Abso-damn-lutely. When it's house money, when it's free money, that's the best money. When is the best time to buy Bitcoin and to buy a Litecoin? It's tough to say in a lot of respects when the best time to buy is, because nobody can predict the future. A lot of people, will... And I'll say it too, but a lot of people will say, and obviously intelligence suggests you buy it when it's lower, you sell it when it's higher. So you buy the dips. However, especially with something like Bitcoin, it's really hard to determine when the dip is going to happen. So, right here, let's just say right here, if we're looking at these charts and we're seeing Bitcoin is at right now basically at an all-time high of $5,800. Bitcoin's basically at an all-time high, $5,800. Everybody's telling you, don't buy now, buy the dip. The dip really, for the most part, never came when it was at $5,800. So you could have been holding off since then. So typically, what I recommend, Dario, thank you very much for that super chat. I will answer that in a second. But typically, what I recommend is, especially for newbies, is to dollar cost average. And it's not necessarily that it's not necessarily that it is something that is best from a monetary perspective, because it could go up, it could go down. But I think it's best because, at least for newbies, it gives you some skin in the game. It lets you learn the market. And if the market goes up, then fantastic. And you can dollar cost average your way in a little bit more later. But if the market goes down, you don't lose your shirt. I think that's the big thing, is a lot of people get into crypto and they'll buy some random altcoin, and it might drop 25% in a day, or 30% or 50%, and then they freak out and they never want to participate in crypto again. So dollar cost average your way in, at least initially. It might not be the biggest deal in the world from an overall investment standpoint. And I know a lot of people say, lump sum investing is better. There have been numerous statistics on it. although that is typically the statistics are from the public markets and not the private, or the public stock markets and not crypto. But yeah, I think that's something to definitely be aware of. Let's see here. So no limit coin. I'll check that out. Smaller market cap, 34 million. Really low volume though, like super, super low volume. So that worries me a bit, like a lot of bit. I think that might be, I don't know too much, but very, when you're talking about a market capitalization that high with volume that low, that's something that's probably very, very open to manipulation. I don't know too much, technically speaking, about no limit coin. As far as kind of the viability of it, how good it is, how good of a platform it is. But it looks like, maybe they have something going on there from a launch perspective. I think the lack of liquidity is, or the lack of, overall liquidity and volume there is a little bit scary for me. So that's something, I don't know if you guys have specific thoughts on it, if there's a reason why the volume's lower, but yeah, that is something I think you definitely want to, for a crypto of that size, it's pretty low volume, at least in my opinion. Marlin Crypterium, I believe I checked that out before. Crypterium, crypto bank for the people. The JP Morgan of crypto banks. I wonder what that's like from a copyright perspective. I honestly have no idea, but I feel like that's probably not super legal to write that. So first impression. Another thing. We accept Visa, blah, blah, blah. Interesting that they say they accept Visa and MasterCard and wire transfer as well. I would need to do a little bit more research on this. One thing that's interesting, one thing that's kind of funny, and I'm sure some people have various thoughts on this, and I know certain ICOs, and I've even looked at ICOs previously that have had some scenarios like this, but let's see here. Pro tip, if an ICO does volume bonuses by at least 500, get whatever percentage, skip them. Believe this has, at least this is a token premium. There's bonus sales as well. So who knows? But definitely an interesting concept. I would have to do a little bit more due diligence on this, quite frankly. Spective ICO, VR and video expected to dominate growth until 2020. I don't know too much about the Spective ICO. Again, there are so many ICOs that are happening on a continuous basis, so it's really hard to get a good feel for all of them. The one thing I will say is, at least in my mind, a lot of these cryptocurrencies, if they don't have specific utility, on day one, it's going to be really difficult to keep up the pricing momentum for a lot of these cryptocurrencies. At least that's what I'm seeing. The ones that don't have a ton of utility on day one, more moonshot bets. So that might be something that is a little bit difficult to keep that price up. Another thing, and this is no fault on Spective, but I do feel like in a lot of cases, so it's fairly, I don't know if it's similar in some cases to Basic Attention Token, but there's a lot of crypto projects, ICOs out there that are trying to do some type of decentralized media. I need to do a little bit more research on it. It could be something that I could potentially leverage as a quote unquote video creator, like I talked about before, registering and creating a verified profile on Basic Attention Token or the Brave browser. So this would be fairly interesting to learn a little bit more on, but I need to do some more research as far as seeing of what the overall real use case and utility of Spective is before I can give you, a real solid understanding of, or that I can have a solid understanding to give you any type of definitive yes, no overall thoughts. Another one up here. We got another super chat. Thank you, the Bitclave ICO. So, unless I'm nuts, we got here English. There we go. So, decentralized search engine. It's a lot of money in a pre-sale, $22 million. For me, part of me is having a little bit of difficulty with some of these ICOs, quite frankly, where I don't think everything needs to be decentralized. I don't think everything on the planet needs to be decentralized, and at least yet, I don't think that technology might be there in all cases. So I don't think everything has to be decentralized. This could be one of those scenarios where I don't necessarily know if a search engine needs to be decentralized. One of the big things here too, though, and I haven't had a chance to go through the full white paper. I've seen a little bit about the project. I haven't done a ton in terms of checking out the alpha. The one thing that I would say, though, is that people care. There's certainly a subset of people that care quite a bit about decentralization, but if the user experience isn't better than the centralized version, people aren't going to care that much. So if Bitclave is not better than Google, there is a subset of people that care about Google centralization, and there is a number of people that care about Google selling all of your data to everybody on the planet. And there's a number of people that don't love that, but the vast majority of people, like the total addressable market, the vast majority of people, they care about the user experience. And if I search for something, I want to see the best results. I want the best algorithm, blah, blah, blah. So unless Bitclave can do that, might be a little bit tough. So we'll have to see what ends up panning out there. But something to, I think, keep note of when you're looking at not necessarily just Bitclave, but any ICO out there. This IPA is fantastic. It's delicious. What, Dirty Dan, thank you very much for that super chat. I do appreciate that, brother. So what are your thoughts on Navcoin overall? We'll pop over. We'll take a look. So I had actually a question pretty recently too on Twitter as far as, I'll pull it up here. If I can find it. So I asked a question recently as far as privacy coins go. And I was just curious as far as what people's thoughts, technically speaking, were on, and I'll get to that Tether. We can get to that Tether scam going to kill Bitcoin. Looks like Bitcoin is dropping a bit right now. What do we got in the last? We'll go to the last day. So Bitcoin is selling off a little bit as of right now, down about $100 in the past hour. Sorry if there's let's see. Sorry for any lag there, guys. My apologies on that. But looking at Bitcoin, still dipping quite a bit. A little bit of a sell-off that might trigger a little bit of panic we'll end up seeing there. I'm not sure if there's anything specifically that's going on that's driving this. Navcoin is an interesting one. It's sold off pretty heavily. I've tried to look at what the best privacy coin is going to be because I think one or two are going to win out. Navcoin may be that. Technically speaking, I mean, Monero has right now, I think, probably the most adoption. Zcash is also up there as well. I do think privacy coins are going to be a pretty big market in the future, with Monero impressing as of the time being. So have to see how it pans out a little bit, but it's interesting to see. Navcoin might be one where that, Navcoin might be one where that continues to, it's at a pretty fairly conservative market cap, about 50 million. If that has a considered move, then we'll see here. So let's see as well. Somebody said Ethereum is building a little bit of momentum. Yep. So Ethereum, and I would definitely say this as well. How do you panic at $100 Bitcoin change? I think it's like 1%, if that. So I'm not stressing too much. I mean, you see $100 move in Bitcoin, you're like, wow, it just dropped $100 in an hour, and then you realize that that's maybe 1%, whatever it might be. But Ethereum, I'm curious to see too if it's kind of hard to see it real time, but if that money is moving directly from Bitcoin to some of these other cryptocurrencies, or if it's alternatively moving into moving into fiat, moving into cash, and people are taking it out overall. And yeah, it'll be a bigger panic if it goes below $8,000 for sure. I think that'll definitely be maybe a panic in some cases, but it depends on what happens, because if it's just people taking profits and moving that, I don't want to say panic. So let's get that. If it goes below $6,000, let's say panic. But if that money moves from Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin subtracts, but that money moves to Ethereum and the altcoins, people are going to, for the most part, I think people will be fine. They'll relax. Not going to be that big of a deal. If people move, if money comes out of Bitcoin and then comes out of the other altcoins and that goes down as well, then that's a bigger deal, and that's something to be concerned about. But for the most part, I mean, Bitcoin has just continued to rise and rise and rise and sucked up so much market cap from some of these other altcoins that if people, Bitcoin's at $136 billion market cap right now. If 10 to $15 billion of market cap go from Bitcoin to other cryptocurrencies, then that can really move those markets up a significant amount. Do I think people are crazy enough to short Bitcoin? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's I don't think there's any doubt that people are very much interested in shorting Bitcoin, especially after the movements up, in the past month, where it's gone basically through the roof with the exception here. But so, dude, what's going on? So taking a look at some of these questions briefly. Can anybody tell me about Bitcoin Gold? Are they out on Ledger Nano S? Yes, they are. I just utilized Ledger Nano S today to retrieve my Bitcoin Gold. I tweeted about, so where is this? Somebody wrote a blog post about it. Here we go. So somebody wrote this blog post. If you are unfamiliar with how to get Bitcoin Gold off your Ledger, use that blog post, and that was good. That actually taught me how to do it. Just because it was a tiny bit confusing, but otherwise functioned perfectly. So, got any advice for Tristan? Thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Got any advice for somebody looking to do unbiased crypto-related videos? I mean, as long as you're I don't know if you're trying to start a channel or whatever you're trying to do there, but if you are trying to start a channel or trying to do whatever, I think, like you said, if it's unbiased, I think people care a lot more about, people care a lot more about unbiased thoughts and about things that are in a transparent light. At least that's what I try to do, is just try and be as transparent and as unbiased as possible. So I think that's something, you want to, if you just develop your own style and approach things in a nice manner and continue to provide really good content, and develop some level of consistency, then I think that's something that, hopefully you can have some continued success. And yeah, I think you should be good to go. 3 live streams going on at the same time. Mark one. Which ones are they? Who's streaming up now? Bitshares is rising quickly. Would you mind covering that coin? So I think it pulled back maybe a tiny bit from before, but Bitshares was one of the ones that was up nicely on the day, and actually as of recently was, I think, up 24% or so. So it's still down 72% from its all-time high. So you still probably have a number. Check this out. Bitshares, its all-time highs were 47 cents. It's trading at 13 cents. So hopefully you're not a Bitshares bag holder. I personally am not that big of a share at Bitshares, if I'm being very, very honest. I checked out Bitshares. I looked at the online exchange. I looked at some of the exchange and everything like that. It just didn't like the user experience didn't really appeal to me as much as a lot of other of the decentralized exchanges do. So I just didn't necessarily love the experience as much. I think there's probably going to be, Bitshares is an older decentralized exchange. It's an older platform. I think there's newer ones that are going to come along and kind of eat its lunch money. So we'll have to see what ends up rolling on there. But I'm not the biggest Bitshares guy on the planet. Somebody mentioned thoughts on IOTA. IOTA is actually only 7% off its all-time high right now, which is pretty crazy. Its all-time high is IOTA's all-time high is, what do we got? $1.04, and it's at 97 cents right now. So IOTA has made a pretty nice comeback. It fell quite a bit. It fell like 50-60% at one point in time, and is now back up to, let's see, in the past 3 months, IOTA fell. It's kind of done a full U-turn here, where IOTA had this big spike back in mid-August, and fell off a map, dropped about, I want to say like 50% of its value. Yep, dropped about 65% of its value. If you held on, you were hopefully paid off handsomely, or you at least didn't lose your shirt, because in the past, since November started, you're up 180% on IOTA. So IOTA has killed it in the month of November. I don't have any IOTA. If you own IOTA, fantastic, good for you. But it's something that had a crazy spike in mid-August, sold off hard all of September, all of October. Come November, basically bottomed out and has climbed up in the month of November. So fantastic for anybody that owns IOTA. But right now, that's about that's all I kind of have to go on that one. And guys, outside of that, so fairly long weekend, and busy Monday so far. But just wanted to quickly pop in here, answer some questions, hang out with you guys for a little bit of time. But I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna head off for the night. So if you are new to the channel by any chance, hit that subscribe button and then the little notify bell so you get notified next time I do go live. And sorry for the short notice tonight. But again, I really do appreciate all the questions as far as everything goes, and hope this was helpful for you. As always, if you need anything, definitely let me know. And happy to. Looks like as I'm signing off here, Bitcoin's dropping through the roof. So we'll see. Good luck to everybody with Bitcoin selling off here. We'll see how this ends up panning out. Good luck to everybody who's owning Bitcoin. I'm probably gonna stay strong for the time being, but appreciate the time, everybody. Have a good one. Peace.